guys! It's been a while since I've made a video. I didn't quit YouTube. I just stopped making videos. There's been so much going on in the world and I've been obsessed with the news. But I'm back and like I said, I didn't quit YouTube. I actually found a new hobby that I'm obsessed with. Quilting! Oh my god, it's so fun. You just cut up some fabric and then you can make a whole new thing. That's so cool. I love it. So today I'm gonna make a quilt block. I am planning on making a quilt for my son. So I'm gonna make a few different blocks from this book I thrifted. I already made patterns. I think I did record it, but I have to find the clips. I hope I find the clips by the time I edit this video. I thrifted this book sometime last year and got it for $1. The edges were a bit beat up, so I had to tape it down, but other than that, it's in really good condition. And oh my goodness, it has so many good patterns. I went through and made templates for a couple that I'm gonna start with, and let me show you. I'm gonna do this one. I love it, it's so pretty. So I made templates for that. And the next one I have is hearts. I love this so much, so that's definitely on the list. Then I have, oh, this one is so cool. This one's gonna be challenging, but it's so cool. I love it. So we're doing that one. And then I have this. These are cool. These look easy. They might be too easy looking, but we'll see. And the one I'm working on today, the one I'm gonna start with, is this. It's so cool. I'm not gonna do the animals, but I will do the boat. And I went through my fabric and kind of chose a bunch of fabrics that I'm gonna use for this pattern. This green is gonna be used for the door of the ship, and this part I'm gonna use yellow for the top, this part, and the body of the ship is gonna be done with this fabric. And I also had a scrap of this. Well, it's not a scrap, it's probably a fat quarter, but I love it. So this is going to be used for the background, and I'm going to use this blue for the water. I have to find some brown. I have a couple of squares from a different project, and I have some brown fabric here, so I'm going to take a piece of that and use it for the pathway. These are my pieces. I cut them with seam allowance, and I've labeled everything, so I'm gonna start placing them on my fabric. So I've laid out all my pieces and I'm pretty happy with the way it looks, so I'm going to start cutting the pieces out. But before I do, I'm going to use my handy little pen and trace the pattern out and then cut it. I don't want to cut through this template because it's not very sturdy, it's just regular paper that I'm using. So I am going to trace my pattern out first and then cut. So this is what the boat's gonna look like. It's so cool, I love it. Okay, I'm gonna start sewing the pieces together. I'm gonna start with the bottom, and I will line these two pieces up, right sides together. And what I'm going to do is overlap the edges by about 1/4 of an inch, so that, let's see if this works. So that when I fold the fabric back, pieces line up like that. So this is good. I'm I'm gonna sew this together and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so let's see what we've got. Ah, perfect. Now I am going to place these two pieces right sides together, overlap it by about 1/4 of an inch on the edges so that I have these points. And I hate having to undo stitches, so I'm going to make sure it's going to turn out the way I want, and then I'll sew. Not quite. Yep, much better. So I'm going to sew these pieces together. It looks good. I'm just going to trim off this dog ear. And the first row is done. So now I'm going to work on this row. Actually, can I do an easy row? I'll skip to an easy row. I'll do that. Okay, I'm just going to sew along here and here using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, so here's that row done. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to finger press. Actually, I think I'll finger press towards the dark fabric. All right, now I'm going to work on this row. I'm going to sew these two pieces together. Place them right sides together first. Make sure they're nicely lined up. And I'm going to sew using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I've prepared the sides of the boat, so I'm just going to stitch them down using, yes, you guessed it, a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to do the same thing with these pieces. So that one's good. Yep, close enough. I'm happy with that. Okay, before I do anything else, I'm gonna press my pieces nice and flat. My goodness, it's looking so good. I especially like the starry night background. So cute. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the top rows. First, I'll find the midpoint. I'm gonna find the midpoint of the second row. Here. Okay, I'm going to match these two pieces up. And I'm gonna sew along this edge. And now I'm gonna sew these pieces together. I'm gonna place them right sides together, pin the pieces down, and I'm gonna pin this piece at the same time. Pin that piece down, and I'm gonna sew the two edges. Alright, so I redid it. This is the vision I had in my head, but I really wanted to use this fabric, and I did, and it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. But this is what I had in mind, and I love it so much. I'm so pleased with this block. Thanks for checking out my channel. Please hit the subscribe button if you want to see more quilting, because that's what's going to be coming up next on my channel. I've discovered this hobby and I love it. It's so satisfying to cut up a bunch of fabric and then just create something so cool. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.